Hello my beautiful friends, it's Amanda here, and today we're talking about a new eye and cheek palette from NARS. NARS has been launching so many products lately. This is the Atomic Blonde Eye and Cheek palette. It is a Sephora exclusive and it's launching today, the day this video goes up, July 25th. Of course, I'm wearing the palette today and I will be doing a quick tutorial. I'm also going to show you swatches, but first let me give you a little bit of product info. The Atomic Blonde palette is launching online at Sephora on July 25th, and then it will be in stores July 30th. Every once in a while, if you can sweet talk a Sephora employee, if they have things in stock, they'll sell it to you in store before it's actually out on the floor. It's worth a shot. It's like 50-50 for me. Sometimes I can get things early, sometimes they don't have it yet. So if you're in store and you really want to buy this in person, never hurts to ask. The palette is priced at $59. Their fall color collection quads were $52 for 4 eyeshadows. So after seeing the price of those, I feel like $59 feels pretty right on the nose. But expensive is kind of a subjective term, so that is about what I would expect to pay for this. The outer packaging and the front of the palette both have this very pretty bronzy ombre metallic look to it. The back of the cardboard carton has a picture of the palette and it also has a bunch of info about the powders inside. When we look at the palette, this is a hard, heavy-duty plastic. It has a locking clasp closure. It's not magnetic. My biggest gripe about NARS palettes is that they're really hard to open. I always end up chipping my nail polish, and this one definitely is pretty tough to open, but I've been using this for a little over a week and it has gotten easier to open. That probably seems like a silly thing, but sometimes NARS palettes are legitimately really hard to open. All of the shade names are on a sticker on the back, and when we open the palette, we have 4 eyeshadows on top. These are all shimmery. The first 2 eyeshadows are just straight shimmers, and then the last 2 have a glitteriness to them. Then we have a highlighter and a bronzer, and of course a nice big mirror inside here. 2 of these eyeshadow shades are brand new and limited edition to this palette, and then 2 are permanent eyeshadow shades. Both of the cheek products are new shades and limited edition for this palette. I will point the permanent shades out to you as we swatch, so let's go ahead and get to the swatches now. I am going to do both finger and brush swatches. I'll be swatching on the back of my hand with no primer. For my brush swatches, I'll be using my e.l.f. flat eyeshadow brush, my trusty swatch brush, and I'll clean off the brush in between each shade using my Vera Monocolor switch. These are the eyeshadow swatches, finger swatches on top, and then the brush swatch is below. The first shade is a shimmery champagne gold. This one's called Icon. Next we have a warm shimmering bronze. This is Isolde 2, and this is one of the permanent shades. So you can buy this elsewhere from the NARS line. Next up we have Kink. This is an orangey bronze, super metallic shadow that is packed with glitter. Definitely applies better with the finger than the brush. And lastly we have Galapagos. This is a shimmery dark brown with gold glitters. And I think that the brush swatch is actually pretty impressive with this one. Here we have the swatches of the cheek products. This is the highlighter. It's a nice pale champagne. This one's called Last Call. I love this kind of highlighter because I feel like this looks really good on a lot of different skin tones. The bronzer is called Unleashed. It has a satin finish and it's very red undertoned. I was a little bit nervous when I saw it in the pan, but I do think it looks very beautiful on the skin. I wanted to show you what Kink looks like, that third eyeshadow in the palette, when it's swatched with a dampened brush. This is a brush with a little bit of Fix Plus, and you can see this brush swatch with the damp brush is just incredibly metallic. This looks like a liquid copper. Now that you've seen all the shades swatched, I want you to see this palette in action, so we're gonna jump into a quick tutorial and then I'll wrap up all my thoughts at the end. Let's go into this Atomic Blonde palette. I'm gonna start with the cheek products first. So I'm gonna apply this bronzer called Unleashed with my MAC 135 brush I am building this shade up in light layers to get the right amount of pigmentation for me. Of course, I put a little on my other cheek and my forehead as well. I'm looking sun-kissed and bronzed, and now it's time for highlighter. This one's called Last Call, and I'm using my Morphe M501 brush to apply some to the tops of my cheekbones. Then to up the shine a little bit, since I'm not wearing blush, I'm gonna apply some of this Fix Plus Pink Light, which is a shimmery Fix Plus. Then I'm gonna put a little bit more of the highlighter on top when that Fix Plus is almost completely dry, and this gives a really intense shine to the cheeks. Oh yeah, I love it. Now it's time for eyes. Of course, I'm gonna prime with my favorite eye base. It's the MAC Paint Pot in the shade Painterly to cancel out any veins or redness on the eyes. Then I'm gonna set that eye base using my MAC Studio Water Weight Pressed Powder for a nice smooth surface to work on. I'm starting with the bronzer shade called Unleashed as my transition crease shade. It has a really soft satiny sheen to it, so it works perfectly with this eye look, blends perfectly on the lids. I also put a little bit of that Unleashed shade on my lower lash line. Now it's time for the most gorgeous coppery metallic. This is Isolde 2. I just applied that to the outer part of my lid using my finger. Super smooth, super easy. Same thing for Icon, the lighter gold shade. I just put that on the inner part of my lid and blended it in with my finger. Then once these metallics were applied, I went back to Unleashed and blended out the crease to make sure everything is nice and smooth. Then for a little bit of extra glitteriness, I used Kink on my finger. This shade is ridiculously pretty and metallic. I just tapped that right in the center of my lid so that I could have extra shine. Never enough shine for me. To finish off my eye look, I used Last Call on my inner corners. Just dabbed that on really quickly with my pinky finger. Then I curled my lashes and added some L'Oreal Lash Paradise mascara. I'm wearing the Velvet Lip Glide in the shade Cozumel on my lips. Goes perfectly with this shiny, bronzy look. This is just my ideal, most perfect makeup look. I really, really love it. I feel that I'm gonna have a somewhat unpopular opinion about this palette, and I think most people are just gonna have no feelings about it and completely ignore it. I think it is beautiful. I totally see why a lot of people wouldn't be excited about this. If you have a lot of neutrals already or you're not into neutrals, then this probably does look pretty boring to you. I feel like this was almost made for me. I love warm, bronzy, shimmery, toasty, glittery. There's all of the things that this is, I really, really like. I 100% use this as an all-in-one palette. I've been wearing this for a while now, just the bronzer and the highlighter, skipping blush and putting bronzer and highlighter all over my cheeks for a really glowy, warm, summer goddess kind of look. I was nervous about this bronzer because it looks like it would be too dark and it looks like it would be too red, but I actually love this choice for bronzer, mainly because I think that it's gonna work for a lot of skin tones. This really can work for me, and I'm pretty fair. I just use a light hand with this bronzer, and because it has that reddish undertone versus an orangey kind of undertone, it looks really like natural sun-kissed skin, like you're tan with a little flush. Because it is deeper and it is a very buildable, satiny, luscious kind of powder, it's gonna work for people who are really fair like myself, all the way up to medium. I don't know about deep skin tones, but medium skin tones are really, really gonna benefit from this bronzer. This is gonna look beautiful on tan skin. I love doubling it as an eyeshadow and using it as my transition shade, as you saw in the tutorial. Same goes for this highlighter. This pale golden champagne kind of color looks super beautiful on medium skin. I think it suits me as well. I could even see this looking really, really good on deeper skin tones too. It gives me Amrezy highlighter vibes, so that's probably why I like it so much. These eyeshadow shades are right up my alley. I love a super shimmery bronze eye. That's probably why I love these eyeshadows so much. The only thing I would change is the last eyeshadow, Galapagos. I wish that this was just a matte dark brown or a satin dark brown. Sort of a personal preference thing. I'm just not a fan of glitter-packed eyeshadows. I've talked about that plenty of times in the past. I see why it was chosen in here. I see why it works with this, but I really am missing one matte, or I could even do a satin finish here. I think a satin would work really well for an all over shimmery palette. I'm just not a fan of the glitter. I wore this palette just like I'm wearing it today. This has been my go-to look to a baby shower like a week or two ago. And the baby shower was outside. It was super, super hot. It was easily 90 something degrees and we were there for several hours. I was beyond glistening. I was fully sweating. And my makeup still looked really gorgeous by the time we got in the car to go home. The only thing I will say is some of the glitter fell off of my lids and onto the tops of my cheeks. Kind of to be expected when you are actually dripping sweat. But the bronzer and highlighter in particular, I was expecting it to be completely gone, completely sweated off, and it was still there and it still looked really good. So I'm very impressed by the formulas here. I'm definitely a fan of this shimmery bronze color story. I know that's not everybody's cup of tea, but it is definitely my cup of tea. It is my gallon jug of tea. I could easily see this being a palette that I pack for a weekend trip and just use this to get my looks for a weekend. So that's the rundown on this Atomic Blonde palette. I would love to hear your thoughts. Are you planning on picking this one up? Leave a comment and let us know what you think. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye. Talking. Work on it. Let's zoom in for my close-up because I look so pretty right now. I love how when something's really pretty, I sound disgusted by it. I'm like, ugh, this is so pretty. I cannot stop staring at my metallic shimmery eyes. I love it so much. Yeah, girl, you looking shimmery and good. Now I have to film a bunch of videos because I feel like my makeup looks really good today. Do I do that? Yes, sometimes I do. You're such a weirdo. Do you like my purple nails? I'm so impressed by this purple polish. It's Sinful Colors and I've been wearing this for a good 3 days and no chips. I wish that people were more interested in like nail polish favorites and stuff like that. People say they are, but then when I make nail polish videos, nobody watches them, so... Okay, well, I'm gonna go touch up this lip color that looks exactly like my actual lip color. Why do I love it so much? I don't know. Oh my. Okay then. Okay then. Well, that's my cue to go. Bye-bye. Wish me luck. Bye.